11:47 a.m.
Hi, baby. Baby, you have to listen to me carefully. I'm on a plane that's been hijacked. I'm on the plane. I'm calling from the plane. I want to tell you I love you. Please tell my children that I love them very much. And I'm so sorry, babe. I hope to be able to see your face again, baby. I love you. Bye.
Jules, this is Ryan. Listen, on an airplane that's been hijacked. If things will go well, I'm looking good. I just want you to know I absolutely love you. I want you to do good. Go have a good time. Same to my parents and everybody. And I just totally love you. And I'll see you later. Bye, babe.
What are those people going to do? All the elevators are blocked out.
In a country that most people would struggle to find on a map, in a compound that few possess the courage to enter, men from my previous life took the fight to our enemy. In that compound, they found men that pray 5 times a day for your destruction. Those men don't care about your religious beliefs. They don't care about your political opinions. They don't care if you sit on the left or the right, liberal or conservative, pacifist or warrior. They don't care how much you believe in diversity, equality, or freedom of speech. They don't care. I'm sorry you've never smelled the breath of a man who wants to kill you. I'm sorry you've never felt the alarm bells ringing in your body, the combination of fear and adrenaline as you move towards the fight instead of running from it. I'm sorry you've never heard someone cry out for help or cried out for help yourself, relying on the courage of others to bring you home. I'm sorry you've never tasted the salt from your own tears as you stand at flag-draped coffins burying men you were humbled to call your friends. I don't wish those experiences on you, but I do wish you had them. Most will never understand the sacrifice required to keep evil men like those from that distant compound away from our doorstep. But it would not hurt you to try and understand. It would not hurt you to take a moment to respect the sacrifices that others make on your behalf, whether they share your opinions or not. It would not hurt you to take a moment to think of the relentless drain on family, friends, and loved ones that are left behind, sometimes for weeks, sometimes for months, sometimes for years, sometimes forever. Ideas are not protected by words. Paper and ink may outline the foundation and principles of this nation, but it is blood, only blood, that protects it. In that dusty compound, a man you have never met gave everything he had so that you have the freedom to think, speak, and act however you choose. He went there for all of us, whether you loved or hated what he stood for. He went there to preserve the opportunity and privilege to believe, to be, and to become what we want. You have the choice every day as to which category you want to be in which direction you want to move. You have that choice because the best among us, the best we ever had to offer, fought and bled and died for it. Don't ever forget that. All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to SITREP. Happy Thursday, which means tomorrow's Friday. I'm good with that.
Friday.
I love Fridays, man. Alpha, we got you for the whole show tonight. Just making sure.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. All right. Just checking. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. You know, the most quiet, peaceful part of my day is when I'm on that table laying down and the machine's pulling on my back. I'm just like, nah. It's awesome, man.
It's quiet until you start hearing all the crunches and cracks and pops, and you're like,
Oh, yeah, you can hear the tapping machine that they're doing on people. That
yeah,
sounds like a damn 240.
So you're what, a week and a half into the chiropractor and still loving it?
Still loving it. Yeah. 2.5 weeks.
2.5 weeks. Oh, so you're on the drawdown phase. So you're going to get
tomorrow will be my 5th appointment.
Have you had any back issues since?
No, I mean, in fairness, by the time I got in there, my sciatic had already subsided. But just on the second visit, when he did a bunch of that like manipulation stuff, just from there, I thought I was already good, but I was like, oh, this is what good feels like. I guess I wasn't good. Like I felt the relief, and it's been increasing ever since.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, let's go ahead and jump into our sponsors for tonight's show. And first up, Badlanders, you guys are all familiar with Loaded Gun Coffee. They've been longtime supporters here on Badlands, and you may have met them in person at some of the Guard events. But did you know that they are also a veteran-ran, family-owned shop in Lake Havasu, Arizona? Beautiful Lake Havasu. Every bag of their whole bean coffee delivers a high-octane, patriotic punch of flavor with a long family history of commitment to freedom, going all the way back to the Civil War. Every bag is a testament of pride and honor, from the skilled farmers who cultivate each blend to their roasters that handpick the finest coffee beans from around the world. Loaded Gun Coffee has mastered the unique brewing methods, resulting in the best tasting coffee around. This coffee is smooth and delicious and the perfect way to start your mornings. Get over to badlandsmedia.tv/loaded and use promo code Badlands to get 10% off your order. And if you're in the Lake Havasu area, stop in their newly renovated store. Tell them Alpha and CannCon sent you. That is, again, badlandsmedia.tv/loaded. Promo code Badlands. Stay loaded with Loaded Gun Coffee.
Hell yeah.
Heck yeah. And then let's talk about our alien friends.
Hey there, Earthlings. I'm here on the streets of New York to tell you about something that's literally out of this world. You know, traveling between dimensions really takes it out of you, but I've found the perfect solution. My Shroom Vibe can now be your Shroom Vibe. Elevate your frequency. Get microdose capsules, gummies, and chocolate bars at myshroomvibe.com. Use code Badlands for 10% off your order. Trust me, galaxy hopping demands balance, and ours comes from Mother Nature. Organic, not synthetic. It's the real deal. Cy Lee, if you know what I mean. Check it out. Your frequency will thank you. Visit myshroomvibe.com. Organic goodness, not synthetic. Use code Badlands.
All right, so I misread the chat, and I saw bitches in the chat said, abruptly quit the chiropractor 2.5 months in, so let's say 10 weeks in. I guarantee you won't be liking it. So I don't know if they're saying there that they don't like the chiropractor, because I've been going for over 2 years, and I love it. I love it. Love it. Or if they're saying once you quit, you won't like it after you quit. I'm not sure what they're saying there.
That's how I interpreted it. That, you know, once you stop, you, and I can see why.
I mean, the chiropractor only gets better with time.
I agree. Why would you want to stop?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah,
that's a good question. Oh, look, EC was here. Is here. Me and him got into it in daily after you left. You shouldn't have left, man. You shouldn't have left. I was fired up, bro. I was fired up.
Which part?
Oh, you and your appeal to the Con Inc. establishment folks out there that still buy into the psyops from the 1970s.
Which ones?
Oh, never mind.
No, that got me curious.
I'm just shooting shit. I'm just throwing
All
shit
right,
out.
Pat, tell me which one he was pissed off about after I left. I ain't gonna let it go. I gotta know now.
No, you got to go watch the show then. You got to watch. You should have been here the whole time. It would have been epic. It would have been epic.
This guy said you got to watch your own show.
Got to watch your own show. Crucix, I go to Live Well Chiropractic in Weston. That's where I go. They're fantastic. He lives up a little north of me.
Before we go on with the show, you guys remember last week we had on special guest Danny Murphy, CannCon's friend, that they served together, and he authored a book, solid book. I got my copy, but I ordered also 10 copies to give to you guys that sent in the first 10 people to send in Rumble Rants. And so AKA Lou got you emailed me your address and I sent you out your book. Illinois Danny sent out your book. D Patriot 1776 got your address, sent out your book, and do I got your address and sent out your book. So the people I haven't received your email yet. Again, my email is alpha@thealphawarriorshow.tv. Everybody forgets the. I still need it from KG Anley 223. The new Prue. I still need yours. Jody IVRN. I need yours. Eleanor 2000. I need yours. And Matt VK, I still need yours. And then the last one, Derek 0341, I still need your guys' addresses. So if you guys can give me those addresses in the next few days, and then I'll ship them out to you. Go ahead.
Well, Derek 0341 is my squad leader, and he lives like 10 minutes from me.
I can send it to you, then you can give it to him.
If he doesn't get back to you, I don't know if he'll be watching tonight. I think he was watching because Danny was on, and Danny's his son. No, that's never mind. That's not him. But yeah, if he doesn't get back to you, I'll text him and be like, "Hey, send your address to here," and I'll let him know.
Cool.
That's it.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure everybody knew so they can so I can send them their books. And then now I just got to catch up on the chat to see if anybody told me what you were crying about.
No, nobody's going to tell you, bro.
No, they will. They will tell me. What was CannCon crying about? What was CannCon crying about?
Sammy the Squirrel. Sammy the Squirrel actually put up a really good post. Let me see if I can find it. He actually put up a pretty good post outlining the thought process on this. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Because I responded to it, so should be here. Come on.
The chat doesn't want to say, y'all sissies. Come on, man.
You don't like it when Alpha and CannCon fight.
I'm not fighting.
Best time.
Yeah, it's Discord. Good for the soul.
Maybe I didn't respond to him. I swear I did. Oh, there it is. All right, so this is what Sammy said, and this will give you a rundown. So it's from his Substack. This morning on Badlands, CannCon was making a very good argument concerning Islam and the First Amendment. How I've always understood the First Amendment to the Constitution as one of the most elegant and powerful protections ever devised for human freedom. It reads, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. The clause was designed to prevent the federal government from establishing an official national church like England and Spain did and safeguard the right of individuals to believe, worship, speak, and live according to their conscience without government coercion or favoritism. It creates a secular public square where many faiths can coexist peacefully as equals with none permitted to use state power to dominate or eliminate the others. Americans are free to persuade, criticize, convert, or even leave their religion without the fear of legal penalty. This framework assumes reciprocity. Religious liberty works when every faith accepts the ground rules of equal dignity under neutral law. Some people struggle to see beyond a single idea, quote, the First Amendment protects all religion, including Islam, period, and treat any discussion of compatibility as hostility. That singular point, while well-intentioned, can overlook the deeper purpose of the amendment. Religious liberty is not a suicide pact for pluralism. It is not an unconditional shield that requires society to ignore when a belief system's core doctrines are structurally at odds with the very conditions that make equal religious freedoms possible. Traditional Islamic doctrine drawn from the Quran, understood by its believers as the literal word of God, the recorded examples and saying of the Prophet Muhammad, and the consensus of classical Islamic legal scholarship, teaches that Islam is the final and supreme religion that is destined to prevail over all others. Verses such as 9:33, 48:28, and 61:9 in the Quran explicitly state that God has sent Islam, quote, to manifest it over all religion. In Orthodox jurisprudence across the major schools of thought, the supremacy is not merely spiritual or personal, it carries political and legal implications. Non-Muslims, especially Jews and Christians, may live under Islamic rule as protected subjects, but only while paying a special tax and accepting a subordinate status that limits public practice, proselytizing, and equality before the law. Apostasy, leaving Islam for another faith or no faith, is treated as a serious offense, with the classical penalty of death prescribed in authentic hadith collections and affirmed by scholarly consensus for centuries. Public criticism of Islamic teaching, what we Western societies call blasphemy or free speech, is similarly restricted under traditional Sharia. Islam and Sharia are deeply interconnected, not separate. It is the comprehensive religion of submission to the will of Allah, centered on the belief that the Quran is the literal final revelation from God, and that Muhammad is the last prophet whose life and sayings provide the perfect example for Muslims to follow. Sharia is not a separate man-made legal code or cultural add-on. It is the practical expression and embodiment of that Islamic faith in daily life. Classical Islamic theology and jurisprudence teach that Sharia is derived directly from the primary sources of Islam, the Quran, and the authentic Sunnah, through methods such as scholarly consensus and analogical reasoning. In Orthodox understanding across Sunni and Shia traditions, there is no authentic Islam without Sharia, just as there is no Christianity without the moral and spiritual guidance of the Gospels. Sharia governs worship, the 5 pillars, personal ethics, family law, business tradition, criminal penalties, yada, yada, yada. Okay, it goes on for a while there.
Yeah, I agree exactly where he's going. This is the point I was making is, people say Islam's a religion. It's not just a religion. If you go to its inception, it's Prophet Muhammad. Prophet Muhammad was a political leader. It has doctrine, it has state authority, it has law. And it'd be like just coming in here and saying, we're going to develop another government, but we're going to attach it to our religion, and the two are going to be inseparable because they are inseparable. And then the United States Constitution will protect us because First Amendment is that religion. And that's why I'm saying Islam is in of itself not just a religion. It is a political ideology.
So every religion, oh, go ahead, keep going.
And you can't separate those two.
Okay, so every religion is a political ideology nowadays. Every religion. Christianity aligns with conservatism. They preach it from the pulpit. My church, well, not anymore. I'm
not talking about taking political. I'm not talking about taking political positions, because I agree with you, because that has happened in every institution. I'm saying its foundational principles are political. Muhammad was literally a political leader.
And so you have theocratic countries. Obviously, you have religion countries that's, entire government is based on Islam and based on the Quran. However, the difference is in the United States, we have that First Amendment. And so while I respect anybody's, right to worship whoever they want and to practice their religion freely, when it crosses that barrier and gets into secular law, then I'm with you 100%.
The thing is that you can't practice Islam as it's dialed up without it destroying our country because of its political indoctrination that it has built into it.
But it's not doing that right now. And if it is, it needs to be brought up, and it needs to be.
Just because they're not beheading us now, because they can't get away with it.
Right. And until they do.
So one of my buddies is, you won't mind saying my name. You guys know Jason 3D. He's the one that's come up with this system. I've had him on people on how to protect schools, like actually how to protect kids, school shooters. Well, he was a cop out there in Minnesota. And he will tell you that these areas where, these different religions have taken over, they run it.
Are they passing the law?
What do you mean, are they passing the law?
Like, are they making the law?
I would have to ask them the specifics on that. But you have them where they're taking over the mayor, they're taking over different political positions. You have guys that are on here, or not on here, but on social media and alt media saying that, yeah, we're going to take over the local governments.
And when they do,
why? Well, the thing is, what do you mean when they do?
When they do, and they pass law,
we don't allow them to. We don't
get
wait
word
for
in
the problem to
edgewise. When
happen.
they do and they pass law based on explicitly from their religion and not based on our constitutional secular values, in terms of the Constitution. I mean, I think we are a Christian nation.
Then let's use what's going down in Texas. In Texas, the mosque that's out there, they changed its name. The name that we all knew about it, but I forget what the new name is. But the mosque that got all the attention, the site that they're building. Somebody in the chat will know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know that little town.
They have their own police force on that ground. And so when you have journalism going in their First Amendment, right? Because journalism is First Amendment, they kicked them out, violated their First Amendment. Just from being on the property. Yeah, it was a UK guy that went out there and he says, hey man, like I want to go, and I've called. They're like, you need to make an appointment. He's like, I called, nobody returns my calls, so I'm here. And they're like, you can't be here. And this is the thing. It's once they take control, and this is the way they work. They're like a damn virus, and I don't care who that offends. It's the truth. They come in, and because this is what's happening in Texas, Epic City. Thank you. They come in, they buy a house, and then they buy another house, and they buy another house. So what happens is the locals, the Americans with westernized cultures and values, they start to get pushed out because of the uncomfortableness. So then they start to sell their house. Well, guess who buys their house? More people that are in that ideology. And then all of a sudden they own the block, and then, or the street. And then from the street, it goes to the block. And from the block, it goes to the neighborhood, to the gated community, to the point where you have these big old facilities. Literally, they got a mosque, they got their bank, they got their schooling. They have all that stuff. That is not compatible with American culture. So and we can't let them hide behind the guise of, oh, it's religion. It's not just religion. And that's the issue.
So what's the difference between that and, like the ghettos, like down here in Florida, if you go down to, say, Opelika, right? It's a completely different environment than what we're accustomed to, or what I'm accustomed to. If I go down to Opelika and I'm walking around the street, I'm probably going to get my ass kicked. I'm not going to be welcome there. What's the difference? Are they actually passing? Hold on.
You ask me the difference. I'll give you the answer.
Hold on. No, you got to let me speak, dude. You got to let me speak. Are they actually passing laws? Can you give me an example where they've passed a municipal law that is in violation of the First Amendment?
I don't know.
Okay. I'm with you. I've covered Epic City.
To answer your question, what's the difference? We go into those neighborhoods and we arrest them. And when they don't want to allow us to arrest them, we use force. And then when they try to fight us back, we kill them.
So it sounds like Texas has a enforcement problem.
And the enforcement problem is because people are allowing them to hide behind the guise of the First Amendment. That's what it comes down to. It's the same thing when people are like, these kids at the schools, they have First Amendment. That's not First Amendment. When something is a formal operation that is funded to create chaos and disorder, which is in violation of United States laws, that's not First Amendment. That's an operation. Just because a aspect of it is speech doesn't mean that it of itself is just speech. That's a formal operation tied into conspiracy and all these things. And that's why our government went after them. They're like, oh, this is anti-Semitism. Bullshit.
And so
guess what? If you had some dudes with the little circle hats doing the same shit, I'd want the same thing to happen to them.
Yes, they've been trying to pass Sharia. Trying. When they do, that's when we strike it down. That's the point I'm making. Is yes, they're going to be trying.
The problem with what you're saying is you're saying, let's wait till we get cancer and then we'll treat the cancer. We know that's what they're going to do. They haven't kept it a secret. I'll grab a video because I have it saved where they said we're going to take over the local governments and then we take over the state governments. Like, they're very open about their plan. Now, if they take over the local government and they start to change the laws, then we really can't do shit about it.
Yes, we can. We absolutely
not if they're changing laws.
Yes, absolutely we can. That's when the force comes down. Until then, you can't do anything. Until they're physically changing the laws to align with their religion.
So then we use the federal government to supersede state law.
Yes, absolutely. In
So-
violation of the
so-
First Amendment.
So then we let the problem get so out of hand, we get into a civil war. Because that's what would happen.
So you want to
Except the civil
preemptively
war is going
go
to be with
about,
people that ain't even Americans.
you want to precog, basically Minority Report. You want to pre
No, because
crimes.
this is not pre-crimes. It's because our laws already say that that stuff is not allowed in our country. If your religion saying that you can take away a woman's rights, that's against the Constitution.
Have they done it? Have they passed a law even in Epic City?
How many of these women you see walking around looking like fucking ninjas?
That's their own choice.
They don't have the ask the women. The women don't have a choice.
Do they get arrested if they don't?
They'll get beaten, killed by their own people.
And that man is held accountable.
No,
and that man is held accountable. Then that's their problem. I've heard
that's our problem. Because that's the shit that they're doing that's what they're doing to American women. They see American women not dressed like ninjas and they beat the shit out of them.
And then they get arrested.
Oh yeah, they get arrested.
Yeah.
If they get caught, how many have we not caught?
Well, then
their people's not going to rat them out.
My point is you're going after pre-crimes. If they pass the law that it's okay for you to beat your wife if she doesn't wear the burqa or whatever the hell it's called, then go after that. Of course.
Is it pre-crime if an Islamic extremist comes into this before he comes into this country? He's back in his jihadi hut and he's talking about, I'm going to come to America, I'm going to build this bomb, and then I'm going to use this bomb for this location. So he has that mindset. And then we track him and he comes into the United States, hasn't done any of that stuff. Can we not arrest him? Yes, we can. Absolutely. We can arrest him as a terrorist. He doesn't have to fulfill the crime. We just have to have evidence to support that this is what his intentions were.
But that's a completely different argument.
It's not a different argument when these guys are telling us we're going to take over the cities. So our people are there. So then we can take over the government. And so then we can implement our laws. That's literally that's terrorism. We want to protect it under First Amendment.
But you can't cite any examples where it's already happened.
What do you mean, as far as like crimes or them taking government positions?
Where they've taken over the government and they're passing religious
in Dearborn, Michigan, you have a couple of them that have made their way into the government.
And what theocratic laws have they passed?
I don't know.
Okay, that's my point. I'm with you. If they're doing it, it needs to be stopped. I'm with you 100%. But you can't go in there and just be like, we're going to arrest all of you because you're Muslim and you said you're going to take over the government.
Why not?
Because we have a constitution.
So if a foreign body says it's going to come
to
America,
foreigners. If they're foreigners, I'm all foreigners. Hold on. Now you're moving the goalposts. Are we talking about illegal? Hold on. You got to let me talk, bro. Like you just talk over me. All right. Are we talking about illegals that are here?
Both. I'm talking about both.
Okay. The illegals, get them the fuck out. I'm with you on that. But U.S. citizens that are here, you can't do that.
If it's a U.S. citizen that is here, like a U.S. citizen that's born and converted to that stuff, then I'm with you. You can't deport them.
Yeah.
But we can shut them down when they try to do shit. We can absolutely do that.
That's a slippery slope, man.
Let it be. I don't care about offending them. I care about seeing Americans that are taken over and trapped, slaved, raped, killed, and all that. I don't care if I offend some Islamic extremists. I give two shits if I've offended them.
I know you don't care if you offend them or not, but the second that you start moving the goalposts for them, then the next thing after that is, Mormons or, Church of Latter-day Saints. What do you call it? Crap. What the hell is it? The Church of Latter-day Saints.
The Mormons. Those are the Mormons, aren't they?
No. Yes. Yeah. That's my only problem is the second you start moving those goalposts. I mean, the second they start implementing religious laws and it's on the books as a municipal law, what they do in their own home, what they do in their mosque, what they do in their, even if it's their own little community. I mean, as long as they're following the laws that are already in place, in other words, you can't beat your wife, you can't behead people. But if you're going to, if they're going to wear the whatever head to toe garb, that's on them, dude.
So we're going to allow a culture to deprive women of their rights just because their religion allows them to, and say, well,
If
the women are,
if the women don't push back, yes.
well, the women aren't going to push back because of their culture. They'll get beaten, or they know the consequence.
You can't.
What do you mean you can't?
You can't beat them.
Their religion says you can.
Your religion does not
just as much as I
supersede
saw
our law. It does not supersede our law.
To them, it does.
If they don't feel,
you're judging it through minding your perspectives because we're law-abiding citizens. I'm telling you through their perspective, based off their words. That's not how they see it.
Well, then law enforcement needs to go in and arrest them when they catch them doing that and make examples of them.
I agree, but these communities are hardened to where law enforcement can go in there.
Well,
and you have all this.
That's a terrible excuse, and I know you have experience with this. But if a community is hardened to where law enforcement can't get in there and enforce the laws, then you beef up your law enforcement and you go in. It's not
that law enforcement doesn't want to. It's because we see it all over the news. The second the cop goes in there and does his job, he's looked at as racist, outside the scope of his, and they sacrifice him because nobody wants to deal with the political outrage. This is not an issue of law enforcement not wanting to do their job. This is the issue. If they go and do their job, they know what comes the consequence of it. And I agree because of the politics. And that's why I'm saying the issue shouldn't exist to begin with. And if there are other religions in our country that, you know, have the same style of consequences if you don't go along with their religions, then I'd say do the same thing with them. But I don't know of a religion in our country that has that kind of, anyone, whether it be Christianity, Catholicism, Judaism, none of them have this, well, you know what's coming for you if you don't come along with us.
I just would have expected more from a guy that spent 4 years being persecuted by political ideologies and political agendas. I mean, I'm with you on the illegals. I'm with you on the people that are enforcing religious laws. I'm with you on all that. I'm with you.
If my post that they came after me for would have identified a specific person or a government entity, I would have said they have every right to do what they did.
Yep, but it didn't, and they went after you anyway.
It didn't, and that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying if there's some Muslim chill in our country hasn't said anything. Okay, he hasn't said anything.
I mean, but it's kind of what you said. You said Islam, like no, you haven't said.
Yes, I have.
Once in a while, you use extremists, but that's not how the conversation started.
Well, I mean, for me, even this morning, I said extremists.
But what your definition of extremist is somebody that practices their religion within the confines of their own home.
Yes, it is. If that religion is saying, hey, if you don't join my religion, I get to kill you, you're an extremist. Just because you don't practice it, don't mean you're not an extremist.
But again, you're talking about somebody practicing their religion within their own personal space, their own private property, their own confines of their home, and within their mosque. It hasn't seeped into the government. You can't. I mean, I do know that there are, like Dearborn, Minnesota, there are Muslims that are in the Congress now and are trying to do this, and they haven't been able to. They haven't been successful. You can't name an example yet where it's got into law. That's the point that I'm making. The point that extremist, if somebody is literally plotting,
you're isolating it to just the religious aspect of Islam, and I won't argue that part with you. The part I'm saying is their religion doesn't stop there. It continues on into a governance. It continues on into crimes, or the call for crimes, and you don't get to ignore that because it's part of their quote unquote religion, which is why I tell people it is not a religion. It is a political ideology that has religious aspects to it.
It's the other way around. It's a religion that has political aspects to it, which so does every religion.
Its leader was literally a political leader. Muhammad was a political leader. That's the founder of their religion.
There's numerous political leaders throughout. Well, not so much in the gospel, but the Old Testament. There's political leaders throughout. But not I'm with you. Nobody as high as Muhammad would be the equivalent of Muhammad in Christianity. But all right, let's move on. I mean, I just Alpha went full authoritarian, and it's fine. The chat loves you for it, and that's all good. That's all good. I know you scored points with the chat. You know, I'll stick with the Constitution. You stick with the precogs, the pre-crimes. Wait, do it again. Do it again. Do it again.
The little mustache right here.
Oh man. Oh man.
Somebody edit it and just leave me a little mustache right.
Jeez. Is that your next OnlyLands costume?
Nah. Can you imagine that thing coming in my mail, bro? I'm off the list, bro.
You'd have to shave your face for that. I don't know.
Yeah, I would have to shave my face.
Yeah, have I ever seen you without facial hair? I don't think so.
Spolzel says Alpha lost point. That's because Spolzel's he's a Muslim terrorist.
At least I got somebody on my side.
I'm just
see, here's the thing though, Alpha, is nobody in the chat, not nobody, because this is SITREP, so there's probably some, but nobody in the chat has nearly the extensive what would you call it, habitation with Muslims as you and I have. And I don't even know, I don't know your experience.
I had great experiences with them. I don't have an issue with Muslims.
No, but what I meant is like you when you pushed into Iraq, you were on the move.
I went there with hate in my heart.
Well, so did I. But you and I killed a lot of them. We killed a lot of them. But you were on the move. You were constantly on the move. Whereas we were set up in a place like we had people that we recognized every day and that we talked to every day, and we had people that we had dinner with, and that well, not dinner, but like lunch and shuras and stuff like that with. And so we got to know people on a pretty close basis.
Yeah, I would definitely, you definitely had a more longevity with that experience than I did. We had it briefly from time to. I'll say this: I had it enough to realize that there were a lot of people there that absolutely loved us and didn't have any problems with us, that wanted us to stay. Like that, it was very shocking to me, because I went in there with the mindset that they all want to kill us, so we're going to kill all of them. That was the mindset. Like there was a level of hate in my heart that was, I'll say, very dark. And when you get there and you realize, and a lot of people here just want the same shit we do, just to be left alone, and it was, it's different. And like I said, I don't have an issue, just like I don't have an issue with Jewish people. I don't have an issue with Muslims. Now, Muslims that choose to say, hey, I'm going to follow this and I'm going to follow it by the word, now I got an issue with you. Now, if you had Muslim culture, like if you had Muslims that came out and say, hey, we disavow, like publicly, not in an interview, publicly come out and say, like let's say an organization like CARE, right? Come out and say, we disavow anything that our religion calls for that's violent, and we don't support that, and it's wrong, and we need to remove that. We need to separate the part of our religion that's religious and the part that is political. These things need to be separated. If you had a movement of Muslims out there to do that, I'd 100% support that. But you don't.
No, there is, but not like CARE. You're not going to see it from CARE.
Yeah, you'll see
there are a lot.
Individuals that are out there will. But what I'm saying, they won't form an organization to do it because they know exactly what's going to happen to them.
Well, they will form organizations to do it. They just will never get the recognition that CARE gets, because much like SPLC, CARE is opposition funded, and it is entirely, in my opinion, it is entirely organizations that are funded by the same entities that want us hating everybody based on a religious ideology that's different than our own. And that's the same thing we're seeing with SPLC. I think we're going to see it with a lot more of these organizations, that the animosity that's been instilled in so many of our hearts is it's manufactured. It's not naturally occurring. Now, I do agree, and I've always said this, that America is too much of a melting pot, and there's so many people that don't assimilate to American culture, and I'm with you 100% on that. But and like the Epic City thing, I don't think that should be going down. It should not be going down. I'm with you on that.
God, they should have had this question on that test you gave me. Should it be against the law to fly another nation's flag inside the borders of the United States? 110% yes. So if you see some Mexicans out there and they got them big old Mexican flags behind their truck, Deport their asses. And if they're Americans, charge them with the crime. If you go to our government office and you see a politician with a little Israeli flag that's in there, arrest them and charge them with it. That's the laws that I want. Like that's the, like, hell yeah. Like the only flag, unless it's like an embassy or something like that, the only flag that should be flown inside the United States is American flags or flags tied to something that's American, like military flags, Marine Corps, POW, things like that. Another nation state, we should be viewing that as a crime. Here's I guess this is what I'm saying.
First Amendment protected speech, bro.
So then we need to put some asterisks on there, because here's the thing:
you can't put asterisks on it. You can't. You said earlier today you're a free speech absolutist.
I know, but I'm liking this.
But you're not. Then you're not.
That I'm putting on.
Then you're not. You're putting on the brown coat. And
I'm feeling a little coppish right now. I'm kind of liking it. I missed it.
Now we should actually we should get rid of the admonishment that comes if you give somebody shit for flying another flag. Should the government be able to get involved in that? Absolutely not.
Hell yeah.
But if somebody else is flying that, you should fucking give them hell. Should give them hell. What's that?
Yeah, should be outlawed. 20-year sentence.
Can't be outlawed.
If you're an American, 20-year sentence.
Dude, there's like tons of Supreme Court precedents on this.
Oh, okay, so let's pass a law. You know what? I guarantee you, we got enough Americans to pass that law. If we secure our elections, here's why the deep state
and the Supreme Court will shoot it down. That's the point.
So then we get justices in there that are not going to be pussies. All right, listen. What scares the deep state is if we secure elections, America's going to start looking like what Americans want. And here's the thing: I call it authoritarian. We need to force assimilation. That's what we need to force assimilation to this country. You want to come over here and be a citizen of this great country, you're going to assimilate. And if you can't assimilate, hasta la vista, baby.
That takes generations to do. It does. I mean, I'm third generation Italian, and up until probably my dad, there was Italian flags in our house.
Somebody said hail alpha.
Hail alpha.
I'm gonna get canceled. It's okay. I'm all right.
You're weaponizing our audience, man. You're turning them into the oh wait. Where is it? You're turning them into
I'm gonna start deputizing all kinds of people in the audience. Let's go.
You're turning them into I can't even find it. I might have deleted it. I did. No, wait, no, I didn't.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans.
I'm a free speech absolutist, man. You can't change that about me. But let's speaking of absolutism, you know what else I'm an absolutist of, Alpha?
What's that, baby?
Second Amendment.
Hell yeah.
So we talked about this earlier today, the AR-15 thing, and I don't know if this is specifically the case you're referring to, but the United States is suing in the Supreme Court the city and council. This is in the District of Colorado, I should say. They're suing Denver. This is probably going to go to SCOTUS. Let me see if it has.
Yeah, it's Judge Janine Pirro is the one that I believe put this out.
Yeah. And so like this case, I mean, if this gets overturned, this is huge because you want to know what? Under the laws in Denver right now, my Glock 17 is an assault rifle. Think about that. My Glock 17 handgun is an assault rifle.
That's so retarded.
Yeah. So this is the case. They're suing the city and county of Denver over a law that they just passed. The Second Amendment declares the right to people to keep and bear arms. Jump down here and let's get into this part. The ordinance uses politically charged rhetoric. The term assault weapon is not a technical term used in the firearm industry. That's actually incorrect. The term assault weapon is used. However, it's not used in any civilian capacity that we have access to. An AR-15 does not meet that criteria. Select fire, those kinds of things. Rather, as Justice Thomas has aptly noted, assault weapon is a rhetorically charged political term developed by anti-gun publicists. Amen. In the context that's being used, I would say amen. Prior to 89, the term assault weapon did not exist in the lexicon of firearms as a political term developed by anti-gun publicists to expand the category of assault rifles. Okay, so maybe that's what she's saying, that assault weapon is not a term, but assault rifle is to
Okay, I'm
expand the
tracking.
category. So I could track on that. To expand the category of assault rifle so as to allow an attack on many additional firearms. Okay, I can get behind that. In reality, the firearms the city calls assault weapons include ordinary semi-automatic rifles possessed by millions of law-abiding Americans. Indeed, Americans own literally tens of millions of AR-15s. The paradigmatic assault weapon covered by the ordinance, as the Supreme Court has recently recognized the AR-15 as the most popular rifle in America. God bless the USA. When the city banned AR-15 style rifles with standard capacity magazines, it banned an arm in common use for lawful purpose by law-abiding citizens. Therefore, the ordinance violates the Second Amendment, and the United States brings this action to vindicate the rights of Denver citizens, whose rights have been and are continuing to be violated. Let's jump down here to the statement of facts. Went a little too far. I apologize. The ordinance states in relevant part, quote, it shall be unlawful to carry, store, keep, manufacture, sell, or otherwise possess assault weapons in the city of or county of Denver. Assault weapon is defined as follows: any semi-automatic pistol or centerfire rifle, either of which have a fixed or detachable magazine with a capacity of more than 15 rounds. So again, my Glock 17 with a 17-round magazine, assault weapon. B is any semi-automatic shotgun with a folding stock or a magazine capacity of more than 6 rounds. So that new shotgun you just got was at 8 plus 1?
7 plus 1.
7 plus 1, assault weapon.
Retarded.
So stupid. So stupid. Or any combination of parts designed or intended to convert a firearm into a weapon identified in paragraph A or B of this section. Any firearm which has been modified to be operable as a weapon identified in the paragraphs above. And then it goes into the standard review. And again, I think we talked about this today, Alpha. In the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruen, the court set the following set test for evaluating Second Amendment claims. We reiterate, quote, we reiterate that the standard for applying the Second Amendment is as follows. When the Second Amendment's plain text covers an individual's conduct, the Constitution presumptively protects that conduct. The government must then justify its regulation by demonstrating that it is consistent with the nation's historical tradition of firearm regulation. This has been that paragraph right there, Alpha, does away with almost every single solitary gun law in existence, but it hasn't been used hardly at all.
Almost like they've been saving it. It's a wild card.
Dude, when you look at the historical context of the Second Amendment, I mean, people had cannons, bro. You had cannons on people's property.
Here's the other thing, and I wish I remember where this a couple of years ago when I heard it. This is before I heard this, way before I got red pilled or even had my own issues with the FBI. But the Second Amendment is not about giving us rights. It's stopping the government from infringing. The Second Amendment is a restriction for the government, not the people. Here, bring it up. Or let me. You want to bring it up? So let's read this thing verbatim. Like I said, I'm butchering it because it was years ago when I heard it. Somebody in the audience will probably remember it. But the way the Second Amendment is written is not granting us rights. It's restricting the government from infringing on our rights. And to me that's a big difference.
Well, a well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Yeah, see, so that's not granting us a right. It's telling the government you can't fuck with this right.
Oh, I 100%, especially considering, the well-regulated militia in the context of 1783 when the Constitution was drafted, a well-regulated militia was every male of a fighting age, right? Like we didn't have a standing army the way that we do now. We didn't have, the federal government conjured up an army when a threat arose. No,
I just mean, and maybe I'm interpreting it wrong. It's not saying, we grant the right to bear arms to the American people. It's not saying that. It's saying that this right should not be infringed upon.
Yeah. So the way I've always read the Second Amendment is a well-regulated militia being necessary to a free state is saying that the people need to be armed in case we're overrun, and we got to be able to band together to form a militia. You know, we need to be able to go to that point if we ever have to get there. And that's why, you know, the Second Amendment, that's one of the oldest arguments out there. It's not for, you know, the Second Amendment is not for hunting, and it's not for, you know, sports and everything else. It's for a tyrannical government. It's for an invading force that the government can't repel, period. And, you know, in order to do that, you need the most sophisticated weaponry you can possibly get. And that's why Bruen, when you look at the context of Bruen, that's why people in the 17 and 1800s had warships. And that's why they had cannons on their property. You know, that's why they could have, you know, explosives and things like that.
Let me argue with Spolzel real quick. Spolzel says, Alpha now making the argument against himself, just 2A versus 1A. No, I'm not. Because Islam is not a religion. It is a political ideology that has adopted religious principles within it. If it was just a religion, Spolzel, then I would be making the argument with me. So the position you're taking, Spolzel, means that I look at Islam as a religion. I do not.
When are they going to classify a suppressor as a muffler and not a firearm and remove it from the NFA? That's wild to me. You know that, right?
So, repeat that.
The NFA, the National Firearms Act, you know that classifies a suppressor as a firearm?
What?
Yes. Think about that, how retarded that law is. I know.
How? It's a part.
It's a part, exactly.
That would be like calling a trigger a firearm.
Yep.
It's a part.
Yep. That is one of the...
That is stupid.
It's so retarded, dude.
That's the equivalent, just to put this in perspective, that's the equivalent of a guy rolling a wheel down the side of a road
and saying it's a car,
and then stopping them and saying license and registration. And you're like, I'm rolling a wheel. No, you're not. That's a car. That's what they're saying. That is retarded.
It's so stupid.
That thing passed. Like that's a law.
In like 19, when was the NFA? 1969? 1963? When was the National Firearms Act?
No, I'm saying, but that specific thing, that a suppressor is a firearm, like that actually became a law.
1934. There was an update though. When did they make? Let me look this up in real time. When did they make suppressors NFA items? I think
Spolzel goes, Alpha, you're retarded. Maybe, but Islam's not a religion.
It doesn't. In 1934, they were on the original NFA. I didn't know that. Are suppressors classified as a firearm in the NFA?
Suppressors being a firearm is like calling Islam a religion. I like that one.
Look. You don't believe me? Yes, suppressors are classified as firearms under the NFA. Although they are technically accessories designed to reduce noise, the NFA defines a silencer as a suppressor, as a silencer or suppressor as, quote, any device for silencing, muffling, or diminishing the report of a portable firearm, thereby categorizing it as a firearm in the eyes of federal law. Yep. It's ridiculous, bro. Ridiculous. You know how many suppressors I own right now if you didn't have to go get a tax?
I'm so pissed off with me right now. It's like it's a show within the show, folks. Spolzel says, Alpha, how many Muslim friends do you have, or have you had any? If any of my friends are Muslim, they haven't told me. And there's probably a reason why, because we would have issues. With the CannCons, it's gonna leave me hanging.
I'm just leaving you to dig your own hole. I got one person in the chat that's on my side, so I'm gonna ride it out.
Yeah, you and Spolzel, you guys are jihadi simps.
We're constitutionalists.
You're jihadi simps.
Hey, let's hit a sponsor real quick, and then we'll get back into this brief because I want to go back over this brief. So yeah, let's go ahead and hit a sponsor here. Jessica's yelling at me in the chat. So, all right, quick question: how much control do you actually have over your money right now? Technology has changed everything, and now it's changing how money works. Crypto, it started out as a niche, but now it's going mainstream. Faster payments, more control, fewer middlemen. It's not hype. This is just where things are going, and getting started today is easier than you may think. That's where Rumble Wallet comes in. With Rumble Wallet, you can buy Bitcoin, you can hold dollar-backed stable coins, you can even own digital gold backed by real gold, all in one place. Setup is simple. It connects with MoonPay, so you can use your debit card, credit card, or bank account, and you can be up and running in minutes. Start small, $10, $50, $100. It's not about the amount. It's about getting in early and understanding what's coming next. And once you're set up, you can even tip your favorite Rumble creators like us directly. Maybe him. I'm not your favorite tonight. So do this now. Scan the QR code or click the link in the description and download Rumble Wallet. From there, you can set up your wallet. You can tap buy, and then boom, you're in the game. Take control of your money and get started with Rumble Wallet today. All right. Thank you to Rumble Wallet for sponsoring tonight's program.
And in all fairness, Spolz, I don't know if I have any Jewish friends. I'm sure I have one, but they've never told me. I just found out one of my childhood best friends. He told me, he's like, "No, I'm Democrat, right?" I was just like, "Well, I knew you're always retarded. You just now you confirmed it." You never asked each other these questions.
I never even think about it. I can usually tell, but I never even think about it. Under step 1 of the Bruen test, when the Second Amendment plain text covers an individual's conduct, the Constitution presumptively protects that conduct. Another way of saying this is that a law that restricts conduct covered by the plain text of the Second Amendment is presumptively unconstitutional. At step 2, the government. So why? Listen, let's just unpack that for a second there, Alpha. Under step 1 of the Bruen test, the Second Amendment's plain text covers an individual's conduct. The Constitution presumptively protects that conduct. Another way of saying that is that a law that restricts conduct covered by the plain text of the Second Amendment is presumptively unconstitutional.
It's powerful.
So, what?
That's powerful.
So shouldn't every single gun law now be unconstitutional?
100%.
And we have to start with a blank slate? And then so I can own a machine gun now, and until I go out and you guys show me where the law says that I can't own a machine gun, that law, because Bruen says that law, it says specifically that law that restricts conduct covered by the plain text of the Second Amendment is presumptively unconstitutional. So every gun law has the presumption of not being a constitutional law. So there are no gun laws right now.
Well, that's the way it should be. I agree with you. For those of you that don't know, I was talking to CannCon on the phone today. I was complaining because, I'm here in California and we have an 8% sales tax. And CannCon, I think he'll do a better job than me of explaining what this really is. So not only do we have an 8% sales tax, when I went to buy the ammunition, I got to do a little mini background check again.
That's so fucking crazy.
But the worst part is there's an 11% tax on ammo in California. So I paid 19% in taxes for ammo, almost 20% tax for ammo. And CannCon, I like how you the thoughts you shared with me about that. I don't know if you want to share that part with the audience.
It's a deterrent, dude. It's nothing more than a deterrent to stop you from being able to. It's disgusting. There's no other way to describe that. Like, what is you buying ammo? What are they using that 11% tax? What are they doing with that tax money? Besides trying to chip away more at your gun rates, you're literally buying ammo and paying for them to legislate against your right to be able to buy that ammo. You're funding them to take away your rights by exercising your rights. That's fucking bonkers, man.
To me, it meets the threshold of a penalty, not a tax.
Yes, of course. It's a deterrent, penalty, same concept. Penalty is a better word, though. Yeah, good point.
It's like if they couldn't outlaw driving a car, so then they turned around and said, okay, it's going to cost $2,000 to get a driver's license. So we're not going to say you can't drive a car, but to drive a car, you got to have a driver's license. And a driver's license costs $2,000. People would lose their mind. They'd be like, no.
Well, think about the amount of tax they put on gas. And, like a big chunk of the price of gas is taxes, right? A big chunk of that is taxes. Now, at least, and I'm not saying I'm not justifying it, but at least in that situation, that money is going towards roads, towards traffic lights, street
Allegedly.
signs. Allegedly. Fair, very fair. What is the tax for ammunition going towards? Like, are there roads that bullets travel down that they have to maintain? Are they giving you free places to go and shoot your guns that they have to go out there and change targets for you and put in filtration devices? No, none of that. So what is that 11% tax going to? It's a penalty. It's their way of saying, you want to go out there and do this, we're going to charge you 20% more than whatever the manufacturers charge you. And we're going to take our cut, and then we're going to take our cut, and then we're going to pass laws that try and stop you. We're going to use that to fund the attempts to stop you from being able to exercise those rights.
Just think about it. Every $1,000 you spend on ammo, you're going to spend $200 on taxes.
That's fucking crazy, man.
That's like, damn, man.
That's fucking crazy. All right. At step 2, the government, the defendants here, has an opportunity to rebut any presumption of unconstitutionality that arose under step 1 by demonstrating that its regulation is consistent with the nation's historical tradition of firearm regulation. Only then may a court conclude that the individual's conduct falls outside the Second Amendment's unqualified command. If there's ever a case where, like, somebody in historical context, going back to the Constitution era, if there's ever a case where somebody like put a sling on a gun to make it easier for them, or stuff cotton in their ears to make it safer for them, they don't blow their eardrums out, so they stick cotton in their ears, suppressors are legal. Suppressors are legal. You are essentially putting cotton at the end of your barrel so you don't blow your hearing out every time you shoot a gun. Suppressors should be legal. There's no question about it.
I don't disagree with you.
Under Bruen, step 1, the ordinance is presumptively unconstitutional. The ordinance makes it a crime to keep and bear an AR-15 style rifle with standard capacity magazines. AR-15 rifles are bearable arms. Therefore, the ordinance implicates the plain text of the Second Amendment. Under Bruen, step 1, the ordinance is presumptively unconstitutional as set forth below. Defendants will not be able to rebut this presumption. Tens of millions of law-abiding citizens, Americans, own AR-15 style rifles with standard capacity magazines. There's no historical tradition of banning arms in common use. Therefore, the Second Amendment protects arms typically possessed by law-abiding citizens for lawful purposes that are in common use today. This is actually a case where the 14th Amendment is being applied to give the states back, or give the people back their rights under the federal government and take away states' rights. This is, but again, the 10th Amendment doesn't apply to constitutional rights that are already outlined in the Bill of Rights, right? And the Second Amendment is in the Second Amendment. So, yeah, this is a case where the 14th Amendment is actually a good thing. The ordinance bans AR-15 style rifles with standard capacity magazines. As set forth in this section, Americans own and use for lawful purpose tens of millions of AR-15 style rifles with standard capacity magazines. Accordingly, in this action, plaintiff seeks an injunction prohibiting the city's law enforcement officers from engaging in a pattern or practice of conduct pursuant to which they enforce the city's prohibition of the possession of the AR-15 rifle. As of 2021, there were at least 28 million AR-15 style semi-automatic rifles in circulation.
Damn.
2.8 million AR style semi-automatic rifles entered the market in 2020 alone, making up around 20% of all firearms sold that year. Wow. 1 in 5 weapons was an AR-15. Various studies estimate that at least 16 million, but possibly up to 24.5 million Americans own or have owned AR rifles. Okay, we're just getting into all the nitty gritty there, so we can land that there. I pretty much think we might.
It's a great argument, or it's great information for the argument of it is a common weapon,
right? This could be the first time that we really see, and I'm sure Bruen's already been applied before, and we just haven't seen it. But this could be a good case where Bruen is going to actually hold up. Actually, where I did see Bruen hold up a case, there was a drug case in Oklahoma, and it actually made it through, I think, the 5th Circuit Court of Appeals in Oklahoma, in that district, where a guy got pulled over. He had a revolver in his car, and he had some pot in the car, and he got arrested for possession of a narcotic while in possession of a firearm, and the district court threw it out under Bruen, and then the appellate court upheld it. And that's why when Hunter Biden got arrested for being high and being in possession, I said that his case should get thrown out too. Now the difference is that Hunter was like actively using, I think they determined. This guy was not necessarily actively using, but the possession of the two together, was a crime, and that's no longer the case, at least in the Oklahoma case there. There's been other examples of it.
Yeah. I think possession of a firearm while possessing an illegal narcotic has to include something that includes sales. If
Like
it's
like your drug dealer?
yeah, like if it's narcotics for the purposes of sales, then I'm for it. If it's somebody that that their Second Amendment, but they want to tap into some X, then no, I'm not for it. Have whatever charges there are for whatever it is, the substance that it is, but it still should not infringe on those rights. Now, being under the influence and in possession, like actually under the influence of a controlled substance, I think there should be. I think we should have laws for that.
So in Florida, we have in our state law, we have a law that you cannot be in possession of a firearm while intoxicated or under the influence of a narcotic. However, possession in Florida, and I'm not a lawyer, so this is not legal advice, but possession in Florida is defined as manual possession, meaning it has to be in your hand, right? You can carry it and still be drunk or high or whatever. And when I used to teach firearms classes, I would always advise people, like, do not carry if you're going to be out drinking or something, do not carry, because God forbid you do have to use it. And there is a stipulation in the law that the law does not apply for the lawful use of self-defense. But you know better than anybody, right? If you're a cop and you respond to a call and somebody exercised self-defense and used a firearm,
It's
and
going to
they're
be
drunk,
scrutinized like no other.
it's going to be crushed in court. It better be on camera. It better have witnesses. Like, you better have exercised every bit of discipline. Like, somebody would have had to come up, point a gun in your face, and pulled the trigger, and it went click. And then as they're reloading, you pulled your gun out and shot them dead. Like, it better be as blatantly obvious as that. But yeah, we do have a stipulation in Florida that you can have it as long as it's lawful self-defense. So, I don't know. I don't know if there is federal law on that about being under the influence. And I think that's delegated to the states.
Yeah. For me, the scope of how you limit the ownership of firearms needs to be very specific and very limited. That's where I'm at. But for instance, and I know people in the chat probably wouldn't like this, but that's okay. If you have been convicted of a gang crime, lose your right to possess. And the reason being is because we know law enforcement weapons are a tool of gangs. And so what you want to do is you want to make it to where it's still illegal to be in possession of a weapon. So if you get identified as a gang member and you commit a crime, poof, doesn't matter what the crime is. Doesn't have to be a firearms related crime. It could be trafficking. It could be, whatever. It's a gang crime. Then absolutely, I think forfeit the right to possess a firearm. And all that does is just it keeps it safe.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I think, broadly, up until the point where you commit a felony, you should be afforded every, right under the Constitution.
Yeah.
There are certain rights that I think you forfeit, you surrender by becoming a felon. Now, like you said,
I think those also should be time restricted.
Yeah, I was going to say, there should be time limits, like a white collared felony, a tax fraud crime, or a financial crime or something like that. Okay, but like you said, gang violence, drug trafficking, human trafficking, violent crimes against humanity. Yeah, I'm with you on that. But like,
if it's a crime that involves a gun, then I say you forfeit it forever. Yeah. But if outside of that, it should be something where maybe there's like a 7-year or a 10-year sunset clause or something like that, because people change.
Of course. So the last thing that we'll probably get to tonight, I just let me preface this by saying, for those of you that watch Badlands Daily, you know that there's probably like 3 or 4 outlets that I go to every morning. Every morning I go to them and I'm like, I'm getting my news from here. 2 of them are aggregates, which means I'm getting my news from them, but a lot of times from other sources as well. I go to those sources. Of course, I'm tracking news on X and everything else on my own. So I've got those bookmarks and everything else. But Just the News is one of those outlets. They went after our buddy, man. And, you know, I am, and this is going to be 50-50 in the chat. You either love the guy or you hate the guy. But they went after.
It'll probably be 70-30, and we'll be in that 30 group.
I'm in the 30. I don't care.
So am I.
I don't care.
I take heat for it all the time, and you know what? That's okay.
So here we go. Just the News. I have no fucking clue why they did this. Well, I think I have a clue, but like, why would you do this? Ex-FBI agent turned podcaster intentionally and unsafely fired a gun before he was ousted, according to memos. So this is talking about Kyle Seraphin. And the allegations in here, we can summarize it. We don't have to read the whole thing, but apparently they FOIA'd memos about discharges, FBI agents in New Mexico that have discharged their weapon from a certain time frame. And one of those that they got that came back was Kyle. And the claim, again, if you know Kyle's story, the claim was that 8 weeks before he was let go from the FBI, he was on a range, and when they were told to holster their weapons, hang them, and whatever, and a range instructor, an officer, range safety officer, was walking down range. Kyle decided to pick up his gun, which it wasn't holstered because it was a AR, right? It was a carbine, and decided to shoot the target next to his while the range safety officer on a cold range was downrange. I read that and I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Now, me and Alpha were both Marines. Kyle was Air Force, but he was in he did some things in the Air Force. He wasn't a pogue, as far as I know. You were law enforcement, Kyle, obviously FBI. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being utterly retarded, how retarded is this story?
100.
That's where I was going to go. I was going to go with 100. I wasn't going to go 11, 12. I was going to go 100. This story is so fucking stupid. Why would you publish this story?
After we got off the phone talking about this, what I suspect happened is, like you said, they FOIA'd for these things. And when they got this story, what Justin Hughes should have did was then FOIA that specific, and the FBI, they don't call them IAs, but whatever their version of an internal affairs investigation is, they should have FOIA'd the whole thing, because then they would have learned the actual story. It's the equivalent of what the mainstream media did to me when they said, oh, there was a report of child abuse and he ignored it. Well, that's what the allegation was made. But if you go through and you follow through the investigation, you realize that at the end of the investigation, like, oh, that's not true. It's an unfounded charge, and there's evidence to support that, like a body camera. But if you just report that front half, which is what a lot of the retards on X do, right? Because they just look for headlines. And I think that's what Justin Hughes did here, and they did it to absolute error. Because and just like, I'm not sure when Kyle told you, but this is a story Kyle shared with me years ago.
Yeah,
so it's not like he called me like, hey, Justin Hughes did this and I'm trying to clear my name. No, this is something I knew about for years. Like the true story, what actually happened.
So, yeah, what really happened is, according to Kyle, and yes, he did say he was dicking around. He did say that. That's not a misquote. However, there was nobody downrange. Okay. And this would be the equivalent. And I don't know if you've done this before or not. I know I have. But when I was in the Marine Corps, if you're shooting and, we go out there and we're doing targets or whatever, and it's, the guy next to me, he's up shooting and he's not hitting paper very well, live action shooting, and he's not hitting paper. And you're just like, boom, got it. Now, you don't do that in the Marine Corps on a qualifying range. But if you're out with your squad, if you're out training with your squad, you might do something like that. You wouldn't do it in qualifying.
Anybody that's been on a tactical team in law enforcement, so
yes.
not this rank and file, but a tactical team, because we're very good at shooting. Mm-hmm. And so we have very controlled fun. For example, and for those of you that have shot a human silhouette, you know, in that head, we draw even smaller rectangle.
Yep.
You got to hit inside that rectangle. And if you're not on qual, what do? If you got like 6 shots, right, that you're doing to the head, right? Your failure drills. You make 2 eyes, you make a nose, and you make a little smiley face. Now you're outside the box for this. And when your guy comes by and he looks at you, he's like, funny, dickhead. Right? Now, imagine if you just had some, you know, anal retentive TAC officer that's like, you're supposed to shoot in the box and you're horse playing, and I'm going to write a memo. And then that memo goes, you know, he didn't follow directions on the range. And you read that, you're like, oh my God, right? That's exactly what they're doing right here. It's bullshit.
It's so stupid, man. Like
I used one of the things I used to do is they're like headshot, right? And you know what, this is with the rifles. And I'd fire it and they're like, you missed. I'm like, no, check again. And they're like, yeah, you miss. I said, check the scoring target. So on these targets in the little corner, there's a even smaller silhouette that tells you the point system. And I would shoot the head on that target and they'd be like, fucking show off. I'd be like, you said head. You didn't say which one. Now, technically, you could have someone saying that would fall under horseplay. I mean, if you want to be technical, but is there any safety issue to that? No, that's the culture of those jobs. It's stupid, bro.
The problem that I have with this article is the and again, I love Just the News. I've been reading them for 8 years now, right? Every day I'm on there. I've never seen them write an article like this. This is a personal attack. This is a gossip column that you would expect to see like from a leftist rag attacking somebody in MAGA. Like this is Media Matters type shit right here. That's actually probably the closest comparison I can make. This is like Media Matters going after us for talking about election fraud. This made no sense to me. And again, you know, I'm fully aware of, you know, Solomon's relationship with Patel going back to the NARA when they were the representatives, the liaisons for NARA for President Trump. And I get all that. But again,
let me speak to that real quick. So and I just got attacked. Well, I won't say attack, question today. The 2 people I get questioned to for the most, why don't you go after Kyle? And why don't you go after Flynn Jr.? Those are the 2 people hit me up with, because I like both those guys. And this is what I would tell people, because I saw in the chat, Kyle's arrogant. He is. He's a badass. He's a type A personality.
Absolutely.
The dude has accomplished shit that 99% of the world population can't do, even if they wanted to. So yeah, there's arrogance that comes with that. And if, you know, for people like myself and CannCon, it's just we operate in that environment. You know, people would say that same thing about me in situations. They'd say that same thing about Brian in situations. But here's what I would tell people aside from that is why does, and you guys know I don't share most of Kyle's positions right now. But why don't I go after him? Because look, if I try to put myself in Kyle's shoes, remember this. He's one of the original whistleblowers. He did it at a time when it was not safe to do so.
Yep.
And they came after him and his family. And I'll tell you what, majority of you have no idea how bad it impacted his family, how hard they twisted the noose on this dude and his family. They especially when it comes to paychecks and things like that, they were making Kyle suffer through making it hard for him to take care of his family, which I personally know what that feels like. This is what he was subjected to. He still stayed in the fight. He helped guys like Garrett O'Boyle in the fight, guys like Steve Friend in the fight. He helped these other people. He helped these people while he knew he was being watched when it wasn't safe to do so. He helped me with my case, telling me, hey, you might want to subpoena this and subpoena this, while he knew that they were listening to him and me. And he still would disregard for his own well-being, because that's what it was. He did it. And he did it because he operated under the mindset of, when we win, these people are all going to be held accountable. And this is all going to be fixed. Yeah. And that's why we're risking everything. And the reality is right now, the people that did it to him have not been arrested. The FBI agent that did it to me has not been arrested. These people still have their lives. So you have to also understand the betrayal that he feels. He had a relationship, and I like Bongino. He had a relationship with Bongino that was closer than probably most of us will understand. And Bongino went into a position of authority as deputy director of the FBI. There's not the demand for it, but there's the expectation of, personally how much I sacrificed because you know more about my story than what was probably shared on the Bongino show. And that stuff, none of that stuff has been held accountable for it. So when you throw everything on the line and you see what your family goes through and there hasn't been accountability to that, guess what? You're going to have a sour taste in your mouth. When you go to Michael Flynn Jr., he saw what his father went through. He's the son of a general. He not only knows the sacrifice his father made, him and his family had to live through the sacrifice his father made. And then they came after him as well. And it's the same storyline as Kyle. When you don't see these people held to account, you're going to be pissed. And that's why I can have a different perspective than both those gentlemen on something, but I'm not going to have an ill heart towards them because I know somewhat of what they went through my own persecution. And I think I'm very lucky, to be honest, that I still have the position and the feelings I do right now towards certain things, because I'd probably have more of an excuse to feel like those guys. And so I would just tell people, as you see these guys pissed, just understand that they went through something that you didn't.
Yeah. He, did you see who's prosecuting the Cole Allen case?
Mm-mm.
The White House Correspondents' Dinner? Jocelyn Ballantyne.
Why does that name sound familiar to me?
That's who went after Flynn. That's the prosecutor that went after the Proud Boys, Enrique Tarrio, Stuart Rhodes. Still has a job, and is now prosecuting the White House Correspondents' Dinner shooter. I'm with Kyle on this. There has not been the accountability that we've been promised in terms of the rank and file members that did all of this. They have not been held accountable. And I'm with Kyle 100% on that. And I probably should have went the other route, because then I probably could have the chat on my side for once tonight, but I didn't go the other route. I'm with you. It's a joke. That's a joke. I'm a principle guy. I'm going to stand by my principles. I don't care if the chat likes me or not for it. But
here's what I would say. If we get to 2028 and these people weren't arrested, I'll probably have the same opinions that Kyle has with a lot of these things.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm more patient, and I'm allowing for more things to happen because I also operate from a mindset Kyle doesn't, that there are these, operations and clandestine things that are happening. He does not operate from that worldview.
Could be. I mean, a lot of these people, sometimes the worst actors were the people that were the most inclined to say yes, no matter what it was that you told them to do. And those can be, when one side's in office, they're your greatest adversary. But when your side's in office, they're your greater ally, because they're still willing to be the yes men. But again, I don't want yes men. I want people that are thinkers, people that are critical thinkers, people that are constitutionalists and are going to stand firm on their own personal beliefs and convictions regarding the Constitution and the law of the land. I think that most of what is going on in this administration is in line with that. What we saw in the last administration absolutely was not. So, I kind of get it, but at the same time, bro, if you're gonna fucking clean things up, you got to start cleaning them up at some point. And I think Steve Jensen is still the DC field supervisor. Like, what the fuck?
I think he actually got moved.
Did he get moved?
Yeah, I think he actually did get. He ended up getting. He might have even gone removed. Actually, I think he might have actually even gone removed. Now, because here's the thing: as arrogant as Kyle may be, a lot of the people that you see that were being public,
he's not there anymore. Good. Yeah.
A lot of the people that you saw Kyle saying, "Hey, this and this and this," they ultimately got removed. Now, I have my theory, and Kyle has publicly called me absolutely crazy for this, but I think Kyle's actually playing a role. Here's the short version of my theory is Bongino and Kash Patel could not come out and say these things because Congress would have came after both of them. And Kyle was saying the things that they couldn't. And then you have this public feud that comes between them. So you can't articulate that this is collaboration between them. No, there's a public feud, and Kyle's even being sued. And one of the things that supports my theory, in my opinion, is all these people, I think with the exception of one, that Kyle brought to their attention have all been removed from the FBI.
Interesting.
But even if my theory is way off and this actual what we're seeing is what it is, I would never turn my back on a friend like that. I wouldn't.
He's getting street cred. Anita Happen says he's getting street cred from this article. That article makes zero sense to me. And there's no question in my mind that there's a reason somebody was putting him up to that. Had to have been. Dude, that's suicide for just the news to turn into a media matters outlet.
There's a purpose.
I know.
It won't make sense now. It won't make sense now, but there's a purpose.
I think so too. I sent him the article this morning at like 6 a.m. I'm like, man, you pissed somebody off. For them to write this. And then, it is.
Listen, for all the people that are like, I like Alpha, no one's going to ever be able to convince me that the FBI, knowing that I was getting inside information from one of their guys, didn't scare the shit out of them. Because when I started, I'm telling you, he told me about certain chat things that I did not know about, or my attorney. We would have never subpoenaed it because we didn't even know it existed. And when he said, hey, subpoena this, you're going to make them shit themselves. What do you think happened when we subpoenaed it? They probably shit themselves and said, okay, this is not going to trial because, yeah, it is what it is.
All right, let's get into some rants here. Murphy Delta, that's Danny from last night. My brothers, Alpha, never got a chance to thank you and your fellow OIF brothers for paving the way for the rest of us GWAT thugs. I have so much respect for you guys. CannCon, 81s for life. Who's got the biggest dicks on the block? 81s. And then ZBM, according to one ex-Muslim man, Islam is just an ideology with a religion attached to it. Can't argue with an expert on this one. Love you both, guys. Cheers. Alpha was never Muslim. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Jesus.
Alpha was never Muslim. I do want to real quick, last week, speaking of Danny, he told us like last minute, we've got like 3 minutes left.
Spolzel's such an asshole, bro. Spolzel says, don't worry, Alpha. No one is saying I like Alpha. You're such a dick.
So check this out. This was some of our dogs while we were in Afghanistan. That's Murphy, and that's our dog Bacon in the background right there, jumping over the hill. That was me with Bacon back when I have a little bit too much of a 5 o'clock shadow there. That's me as well with Rip It. That's Rip It. No, that's Bear. That's Rip It. And then there's Bacon, the little guy over there on the left. Bear was kind of new. He wasn't so fond of us, but Rip It was my G. Rip It would follow me on patrols and everything. That's me and Rip It right there. Bear's eating water and drinking. That's me and our bomb dog Chewy. That's Danny and Chewy.
It's a good looking dog.
Yeah, dude, their dogs are huge over there. Let me see if I can find another picture real quick so I could show you the sock story. There's Danny right there when we were out and about. That was at PB, the patrol base that we had there. This was one of the posts on the patrol base. That's where it is. You stay up there all night till 4 o'clock in the morning all by yourself. There's a chicken we got there. This was our shave. We told you guys about that. Let me see if I can find picture. I thought there was a picture of the fire pit and like our rooms. That's one of the rooms, but not very far. All right, maybe I'm off. We gotta let me see. Okay, that's one of the pictures of our room. There we go. These are the pictures of our rooms that we slept in. That's me in the background there sleeping. That's my buddy Billy. That's us playing spades because we played the shit out of spades whenever we had downtime. That's our little. Oh, that's our corpsman, our Navy guy, right? Navy loves their dudes, right? That's our little 240 up on post. So you see this building way out here in the background?
I do.
So I smoked a dude from this exact spot right here one day. Smoked a dude, 453 yards.
Nice. With the 240?
No, M16.
Nice.
That's the fucking fire pit where they burned the socks, and I was smelling them on post, and I was miserable because they're burning all these socks, and all I can smell is fucking burning socks from the fire pit inside of our tent.
Did you guys ever get the MRE boxes that were made for the locals?
No. I don't think so. We might have. This guy got killed. He got shot by a cop. He was the one that shot a cop and killed her, and he got killed by a cop.
That sucks, man.
Yeah, fucking pissed me off. Fuck that guy.
You know, Danny says, that we paved the way, and I get that. But I'll tell you what, man, and I don't know what it was like for you guys, but a lot of the guys that I talked to that went, years after that we went out there, and they told me what the rules of engagement were. I'll tell you what, man, it seems like it was a harder fight for you guys with the ROEs you guys had versus us. Like it was
our ROEs, bro. Our highest ranking officer was a lieutenant, man. We did what we fucking wanted.
Oh, good. A lot of stories I heard when people coming back, I'm like, fuck, they trying to get you killed?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of bullshit is that?
Yeah.
You got to call stateside when you got a fucking 13-year-old on the roof with a fucking phone? Like, listen, for us, you went on the roof with a phone. That's it. That was your last day on Earth.
Yeah. For us.
Because think about it. By the time that shit makes it to, wherever headquarters is and they phone it back, it's too late. Like, that's the stupidest shit in the world, man. And it's just, and you guys also, like, that's why I had asked that question about the IEDs that you guys dealt with. Like, most of the IEDs that we dealt with were like anti-tank mines that they had put together, and they still had to run cords to them. Like, they hadn't done the remote shit. That was at the very tail end of when I was leaving. So, for us, the enemies that were, laying down IEDs, you had to find new IED layers because the majority of them, we were able to take them out. And it was usually the 25 that took these dudes out, bro.
So almost all of our IEDs we found were pressure plate, meaning you step on it and it makes the connection, boom. The one time, and Danny told the story last week, that we found a directional fragmentation, like, you pull the ripcord and you're going to shoot. That thing would have fucked us up if Danny didn't find that. Like, Danny saved our lives that day, because that thing, we were just about to walk into the kill zone for that thing. And if Danny didn't see that, it would have killed us, all of us. It was so big that it would have killed. There were 8 guys in that patrol, 6 to 8 guys. It would have probably killed at least 4 of us and fucked the rest of us up real bad. Danny saved our lives that day, man.
That's wild, man.
Yeah.
And that's what I said. I can't even imagine, like, seeing the IEDs you guys saw. Because I remember the first time we got hit with an IED was on our way to a Russian power plant. We're on a they got us because we're on a canal road. So the vehicle barely fits on the fucking edge of the canal. And the vehicle in front of us, one of the tires, they blew out one of the tires on the LAV. And like I said, the LAV was fine. It just destroyed all that mechanism that was there. But every single one of us that was popped out, like, that shit rang your bell. I can't imagine, bro. I cannot imagine what it's like having them set off like a 155 or something like that. Like, I can't even fathom that shit.
155.
Like, when I see the videos, I'm just like, that shit just makes my heart pause, bro. I'm just glad we didn't have to deal with that, man. It was scary enough as it was, let alone worried about remote shit.
The most we ever saw was probably about 80 pounds of HME. It was 2 big 5-gallon jugs that were each filled, and that was the biggest we ever saw. We never blew one up. Like, we never hit one. We always found them first because they're so hard. They're so big that the broken up earth is so easy to see because it's so big. But yeah, man, and that's why when people like people will never understand. Danny actually sent me, let me see if I can find it real quick. Danny sent me a Bible verse that was here it is. It was Proverbs 17:17 and 17:24. And the first one was better a dry crust with peace Oh, no, wait. Here it is. 1717. A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for a difficult time. And so, like, he sent that to me, and you know, when you think about that, like the love I have for those guys, even the one that killed a cop, still love the guy. Think he was a piece of shit for what he did, and I'll never forgive him for it. But you know, I would still go to bat for him if I had to.
Oh man, I hear some of the shit that some of the guys did, and it's disappointing, but I can't stop loving those dudes, dude.
Amen. What you got?
Here's 41 seconds, and this is dedicated to you, Spolzel.
Oh God.
Understanding the role of the Muslim brother in North America. The process of settlement is a civilization jihadist process with all the word means. The Ikhwan, which is the Arabic word for brothers, must understand that their work in America is a kind of grand jihad in eliminating and destroying the Western civilization from within and sabotaging its miserable house by their hands and the hands of the believers so that it is eliminated and Allah's religion is made victorious over all other religions. Is this clear? They don't mince words, do they?
Now, for context here, that document was taken during a search warrant of a mosque out in Texas.
And
did you not hear what she said? What she read?
Did they arrest the entire mosque?
I don't know how many people got arrested. I'd have to look into it.
Okay.
But those are the intentions. It's not a secret.
It's not every mosque, man. I mean, when they get them doing that, go for it.
So you know how look, all my anti-Jew crowd in the chat say, what does everybody always say? Well, part of the Talmud is that you can lie. And that's a true statement. That is in the Talmud. But what they forget to tell you, that exists in the Quran as well. Sure. Both those religions allow deceit and lies in order to protect the religion.
Sure.
That's why neither one of them
when you're caught doing that and you're actually putting together the means to do it, you should be held accountable for it. I'm not against that. I'm not against that, but you came on here saying deport them all.
The second you identify, that's like coming and telling the cop, "Hey, I'm a gang member." All right, good. Jump the police car. Let me go take you to jail. Like that's what I'm talking about, baby.
Put on the authoritarian cap, Alpha. Put the authoritarian cap back on. You're no longer libertarian. You shame us. I'm just kidding. June 25th through 28th, guys, Badlands Media is heading back to Deadwood, South Dakota for the 12th stop on the Great American Restoration Tour. Whether you're attending in person or virtually, a GART, veteran, or virgin, there's something for everyone. Early bird prices for virtual tickets are available through May 15th. Merch packages are also available now for both in-person or virtual ticket holders and virtual ticket holders. Get your GART 12 tickets today at badlandsmedia.tv/events. And you're going to want to make the Deadwood one. It's one of the top. It's the top one. Third time being back there. I think we probably know that town by heart by now. I think we do.
Wow. Third 3 years.
3 times. This is our 3rd time going back there. I know the place. I know the drive to the airport by heart because I made it like 6 times last year. I was the designated driver. I rented a car, and so John, I kind of volunteered, and so I was picking everybody up and driving them back and back.
Dude, that was a comfortable one. I don't know if you remember, but you guys had me go pick. Who did I pick up? Was it Ghost? Or
yeah,
I think it was BB, or both of them.
When me and Caleb were playing fucking golf, and you fucking assholes text me, and you're like,
I
went to the wrong airport. Yeah.
Real quick, I know we got to go because the other show that's on. So, CannCon, you guys know the way I am with CannCon. And so he's just like, don't forget, you got to be there at this time. And it was Garden and it was BB. He's like, you got to be there at this time. So I'm like, dude, don't worry, I got it. And so he's sending me these messages, bro, like, have you left? And I'm just ignoring him. And so then I had already picked up Ghost and BB. And I'm like, so I go, hey guys, don't say anything. But when you guys send a text to CannCon and go like, hey man, where's Alpha? And so they did. And so the gang was like, bro. And I'm like, dude, I'm at this airport and they're not. And so I told him I was at a different airport, and CannCon stressed out because he's trying to beat Caleb in golf.
No, not trying. I crushed Caleb. No, there was a reason though. They had to like be back by a certain time or something. or they had to be picked up by a certain time.
Wasn't it because of the VIP dinner or something like that?
I think that might have been it. I don't remember. It was funny as shit though. I was like, you fucking assholes. And then you call me back and it's BB on the phone on your number. And I was like, oh, you guys are dicks. And I hung up on you. All right, guys. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Smash that thumbs up. Even if you hate me tonight. I don't care. I don't care. Alpha. It's fun as always, man. What?
Shalom.
Man. Oh man.
Shalom. Ali Akbar. Just end it, bro. Just end it.
Hey, check out softdisclosure.com. Promo code. I think it's promo code Mother's Day, but check out the ad.
Last winter, the world met Madame Margie, the moistureless. But while Badlandia banded together at Gart, she evolved. While deep in her lair, she uncovered 4 sacred instruments of hydration. The lip balm, the lotion, the tallow bar, and the new stainless steel gua sha. Together, they wage war. Flaking has fallen, roughness retreats, dryness trembles, and among the rebels, Mother's good boy. But elsewhere in Badlandia, rebellion grows, the beards remain.
Shave them all off.
Visit softdisclosure.com and use promo code Mama's Boy for 20% off your Mother's Day bundle. Can't choose the right sacred instruments for your mother? Offer them all with an e-gift card. For softness, for victory, for moms.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA.